Welcome to the Odds Breakers, #1 place for shared, sharp betting information.
We are back. Circa contest weekend part 4 Friday. Entries are rolling in for the Circa contest. There are 55 entries above last year's date, not the weekend, but the date, August 22nd. There are 55 entries above, according to Aaron, the marketing director here at Circa Sports. John Kanaki, what's happening, my friend?
How we doing? Glad to be back on air here. Final segment of the weekend for us, Friday at Circa. We've got a good lineup here to close her out. We're bringing on our podcast neighbor here, the sports betting queen, shortly. We've got the vice president of the casinos coming up, Mike Palm of the D, Circa, and Golden Gate. He's going to talk about the contest in Circa Sports, and I'm going to close it out with a quick 15-minute NFL season over-under couple plays for you. And then we're going to go get some food and hang out at the pool, Kiev. So let's get this show rolling.
We're going to show off our rock hard bodies at the pool. I'm so excited. Now, it's going to be a great day. It's beautiful outside. It's sunny out. I mean, just remember, if you're from the Midwest or New York or something, this weather is going to end for you, but you can always come to the Circa Sports in Las Vegas, especially during football season, which now pretty much goes through February. So even college football goes pretty deep into January, which is cool. Oh, man, I'm so excited to go to Hugh McHugh's for lunch. Matt Humans talks about it all the time on VSiN. I'm excited to do that. And then, obviously, we're going to go to Stadium Swim about 1:30, have a few cocktails, enjoy the summer, enjoy the wonderful weather here in Las Vegas, and obviously these wonderful contests. I get some hard-hitting questions for Mike Palm, Sean. I don't know, man. I think we got to challenge some of these guys, don't we?
Yeah, Fezzik brought up a good point as we went off air. He wants to know where they think they're going to end up. He thinks there's going to be a bigger overlay than ever on that Millions contest with more people getting in Survivor. The average Joe bettors moving over to that more often. And, there may be some people that buy back in on Millions with that big overlay at the end if it's there. But, he thinks it's going to be lower than the last few years. The growth had happened every year over year up until last year. And he thinks it might go backwards. And we'll see, but that'd be a great question for Mike. See where he ends up. I don't think he's overly concerned about the overlay. I think the amount of people it brings into the building and the amount of action that this place gets, the reputation it has as a sports betting mecca here in Vegas now since it's been open. I think we're going on 5 years now. So I think he's not too worried, but I think that's a great question to ask him. Hopefully you do. And he's a great guy to hang out with, real knowledgeable about the industry and obviously the casino as well. So looking forward to hear you guys chat about some stuff.
All right. Well, that's awesome. I'm so excited for that. And by the way, here's the agenda. We're going to have the sports betting queen on, a huge show on YouTube and Instagram, big following. And she's going to tell us about her and her wonderful show. We're going to have Mike Palm, obviously, then Sean Kanaki. Might even have Dave D. Nasty on a little bit. We'll see. Talking a little bit about the divisions and what their thoughts are on the rest. While that happens, I'm going to go down to the sports book, say hi to anybody out there, buy them a drink, come by the sports book and say hi, and I'll get you a drink for the last 15, 20 minutes of this show. Sean and Dave will make sure they close it out pretty well. But otherwise, Sean, let's get rolling here. Let's bring on our first guest.
All right, K-dee, come on here.
All right, so K-dee is going to come on, the sports betting queen, and I'm so excited to talk to K-dee. She's, when it comes to sports betting, you always want to get a unique perspective from things. K-dee, I love it when I meet a sharper female better, because there's not enough females in this industry that are not just trying to, get Instagram photos, right? This is a person who cares about betting and is passionate about it. K-dee, welcome to the show, and thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you guys. This show is awesome, and I am just honored to be on here.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow K-dee too. And she spells it K-D-E.
Yes.
Which is, I've never seen anybody with a dash in their name. Minus maybe like a last name or something. So I think that's super cool. K-dee, tell us a little about what you do out there at the Sports Betting Queen, and what got you into sports betting itself.
I am the sports betting queen, and I do live up to the name. So if you want to visit the website, I started in 2018, at least the whole podcast, but I have been doing this since I was probably about 10, 12 years old. And,
Wow.
not to mention, not obviously you can't bet 10, 12 years old, but family, my dad, credit to him and my uncles, and just kind of knowing the game and the spreads, because they talk about it a lot, when it comes to which teams are playing on TV, and you kind of just, I guess, as a sponge, you're a kid, and you're soaking it all in, and then you start to understand it. And when I really began to understand football is when I knew I had kind of a passion for it. You know.
I mean, passion's all you need, and then all of a sudden you turn it into something. You make these games mean something more when
Yes.
you're involved, and it sounds like you had a passion. What made you want to do media? What made you want to talk and learn about the betting and the industry and all the folks in it?
I think it was more so that I could understand it from another perspective, not only from the male dominant perspective, but from how I looked at it, not only because I loved wrestling, entertainment, but I also loved the fact that I could bring up certain trends or certain, like things to point out when it came to the quarterback, the wide receivers, and people that made the games happen or made games fucking the worst thing ever when you're betting, right? So you're just
Sure.
looking at it from that perspective and bringing that forward to make other people understand, not only the female industry, but also everyone else, to look at it in certain perspectives.
Absolutely. And Katie, I learn every day in this
Hmm.
industry. There is nobody that's got it completely down because the market changes. We always try to stay ahead of the market.
Hmm.
What do you do to help educate yourself a little bit to try to make the better play?
That is a great question. Fantastic. I've never really been asked that, but what I do, I think, is not only listen to the culture around me. For instance, your podcast is amazing. You guys have great content. I listen to that. I put it together with some of the things that I think of, and then some of the sharps and some of the new betters. You know what I mean? So you put it together and you kind of have your own creation of what's really going on. And I put all that together along with intuition, because this comes with luck as well, right? So
Sure.
I think putting everything together and making it my own canvas and then painting my own picture.
Yes, and that's a great point. At the end of the day, I try to pride myself more on like being a good compiler of information
Yes.
rather than somebody that thinks they're sharp. I want to be like somebody that's looked at that just knows people and gets perspectives from people that are trustworthy. I learned a lot in this industry about the creative side of sports
Mhm.
betting, about the obviously the sharper metric side, and there's all kinds of advanced metrics, and sometimes you can get really caught in the weeds when you're trying
Yeah.
to touch all this stuff. So
And you could be your own worst enemy too. You can say, "Oh my God, I've compiled all this information. Am I following my own trend? Am I going against myself? Do I just do the right thing?" But there is no right thing, right, Cave? There's no right
No,
thing
there's not.
when it comes to
There's
this.
definitely no right thing. And you know what? You can like something until it moves, and you start liking the other side. I think a good practice is like trying to make an argument for both sides, even if you're kind of liking one side, because I think that's you're going to find yourself releasing some of the biases that you can just develop in
Yeah.
your head. You don't even like notice some of the biases here, but hey, it's contest weekend, Katie.
Yes.
I am so excited for it. Can you tell us what you're doing for
I
this
am
week?
doing Survivor, and I'm also doing Circa Millions for the first time. So I probably will need your advice, Keith, because I actually
Don't take
oh,
mine.
stop. So you probably win it before me. It's a lot harder than people think it is. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
and I've been saying this for a while now, that Survivor is definitely one of those things where the first game and the last game, they're too similar. Too similar. It's not going to be easy peasy pumpkin cheesy, right? It's going to be
Yeah.
the hardest two things that you have to pick, whether or not you make it there or you want to make it through. So, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. It all looks great until it all
Falls
ends on
apart.
you
Yes,
sometimes,
yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah, and I think like contest strategy is important to think about too. I mean, are you a person that wants to like It's funny. You think about the money you invest, eventually end up on the most popular, biggest spreads. But you know what that's going to give you? You're going to split a big pot with like 3,000 people if you
Right.
actually make it
Right.
through.
Right.
Right. I think there's got to be times where we have to be a little bit sweatier during those Sunday games and be like, man, I just took a pick 'em because I had to
Yeah.
take a pick 'em because I just was not wanting to get on the same thing as
Yeah,
everybody
no.
else.
Do you ever have this feeling at like maybe it's just me, but as a degenerate, or this is how I bet, right? And you've talked about it earlier in the show, is that I have this feeling sometimes at like 2 a.m. You're looking at the lines, you're looking at the book on, and then all of a sudden you're like, that's it, that's the one. I'm picking that one. I don't know why, who, what, when, where. I don't need the facts, but that's the one. So sometimes you have to follow that. I feel like sometimes you have to follow that intuition. So
Absolutely.
it's going to take that much to get further into these contests, and these contests are awesome. The culture, the vibe, everything.
It's so fun, and it makes it so you're like sporting in a way, but the
Yeah.
money's already paid for. It's already a sunk cost, and it's gone. But you're actually making plays, so you are involved in all these games throughout the year.
Yes.
There's people that bet big and care more
Mhm.
about their players. I'm more a person that cares more about their players. These contests, if you start hitting, then all of a sudden, you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, it'd be 19-1, of course, or
Yeah.
14
Yeah. Right.
this would be a situation where like, okay, wow, my mind is shifting here.
What am I gonna do? Yeah, now you're into it big,
Yeah,
or
yes,
now you're into it. No,
yes.
that's awesome. I really, I think that your show is great, and I think I would come to you for advice, like I said, for millions. You know what I mean? Because you've been in
So
it.
oh well, I mean, the farthest I finished in millions, this is my sixth year, is 60%, and I would place 240th out of 4,500 people
That
ish,
is amazing.
and it's great, but I missed the top
I
100.
know,
Like
I
I could have
know.
just got to
But that's
63%,
just the
but that's
goal.
how
That's
tough
just
it
the
is.
goal, right?
Yep,
You got to keep going up.
yep.
If you make it to 239, it's still better than you did before.
It is, and of course, it kind of correlates with my sports betting year. I had a good NFL year, and so it's like obviously, if you kind of liked it anyway, you're probably betting on it, right? Maybe you're getting the lines early, maybe you're getting them right before kicking.
Mhm.
Yeah, this situation kind of makes itself. What sports besides football do you like to engage in?
So my secret is actually going to be WNBA.
No,
And there's a lot of good things and great things happening with WNBA. And I know, speaking from a female perspective, that sounds very biased, but I've been following it for a while, a couple years. And then college basketball, actually. I do bet here and there, dibble dabble on other sports, all other sports, but mainly those two things. I think there's a lot of money to be made in that industry, and it's just growing. So if you want to try it
I love
out,
it.
yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're going to find great edges in those niche
Yes.
sports for sure. And it's funny about WNBA betting is just being more popular and popular. Probably not what you want to hear because the edges are more there before people pay
Right.
attention, right? When
Right.
everybody starts
Yeah.
jumping on, the sports books have to put up
Yeah.
better lines. They have
Yes.
to adjust quicker to the bets and the
Mhm.
line movement.
Which you
So I
don't want
think
to
it's
mention,
fun.
right? Like
Yeah.
you're like, hey, keep it a secret, please. Underneath.
It's a double-edged
Yes.
sword.
Yes. Yes.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you bet WNBA. That's fantastic. I'm more of a college basketball guy myself during
I
basketball
actually have a
season,
funny
but
story about WNBA.
please.
So I have a daughter. She's 10. I actually have a 16-year-old son, and they are both very into the culture. Obviously, I don't, want to teach them other things that come with that yet, and that's on them to learn. But I did take her to an Aces game, and I was teaching her about the lines of under over, just the numbers, and she actually won her first bet. So yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
there you
and she was
go. Oh, that's
sweating
fine.
like a crazy person. Yeah,
Corrupting people. That's what we do.
well, she is my daughter. She's got to learn, some way, somehow, make a little hustle here and there, right?
Oh, don't get me wrong. I talk to my kids a little bit. Dane's like, "Hey, Dad, what you got in this
Yeah,
one?" I'm like,
yeah,
"Explain."
and then
Oh, I tried this one.
yeah, you always have you have kids, you have one good a sharp, and then you have the other one that takes the public every single time. That's my son. You know.
But Katie, everything is betting in life. And people don't
Yes.
understand that it's not just sports. When you're investing in the stock market, is the obvious one. When you decide to make a left in the right lane or in the left lane, everything you do is like there's odds to it, right?
Yes.
It's like you figure out, well, hey,
Yeah.
so
You're taking a risk. Yes.
you are, and you don't even know it. So that's why I want people to learn more about the industry.
Mhm.
That it is something that is not. It's much less common, or more common, I should say, than people think. It's involved in everything, betting, making
Yes. Taking risks. Yeah.
consequences.
Which you and I both did with our show, right? It could go one or the other. So yeah, no, you make a great point. We bet on ourselves every day. Every day.
When's your show on? Can you tell us a little bit about that and where it's mostly saw? I think on Instagram,
Yes.
YouTube.
So Instagram, our show is on YouTube now. Spotify, it blew up in 2018, over 80,000 followers on Spotify. It's the Sports
Wow.
Bet Queen, Crooks and Books podcast. I do have a website. Easily, you can go through the link and you can get to the podcast there as well as the YouTube. So we come out every Thursday morning before the Thursday night game. And then we also have a newsletter with each and one. So I have 4 guys on the show, which I know you've met this week, and we all have one pick for that week or 2 picks for that week, and it's all free. So
Oh, that is wonderful. You got your good plays. You got great content and great people on the
yes.
show. I'm excited to check that out more. And obviously was on it yesterday, and you guys seemed very. I learned some stuff from you guys. I learned a little bit about the camera work and stuff like that.
Yeah. It was
We're an
so nice to
experienced
have
group
you
now.
on. It was so
Yeah.
nice to have you on. I mean, you're a legend in my book, so
Oh,
you
well, I
always will
appreciate
be.
that. So what's the future of the sports betting cream? What are some of your goals and where you want to be?
I'm actually achieving some of the goals today or this week, thanks to Tom and Mike and everybody in this Derek as well, being able to meet them, but I think my goal is to kind of just be the voice out there for other people like me, and mostly females in the industry, that they want to be in and be themselves and be able to bet, not quiet, not under the table, not sneaky, that you can still do it and don't be afraid to do it, and that's one of my goals, is to open that market up for more females to be in this industry, and I know it's growing every day.
K-dee, what's your week 1 survival play?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. How did I know you were going to ask me that? I am leaning towards 2 teams. It's going to be Broncos or I know people say don't take the Bengals, but it's just like something's telling me something about something. But that's just because it's the first week. And I was scarred with that. Carlos was too, you know what I mean? He's on the
Wow.
show. Yeah. So,
Bengals.
yeah.
Well, that's a deadly one. I'll tell you this. That's a scary
the
play.
one, but this is the only reason why I want to say it, and I want to make my point. And I do this all the time on my podcast. Is when you're a game behind and you lost that game, and you say, you know what, I'm going to run it back. It's called the run it back. But maybe we'll see.
Well, they definitely did a lot different in the preseason now that they're playing Joe Burrow in the preseason, something they didn't do in the past, and maybe that actually gets them a little bit more ready
Yeah.
for week 1. You're going to have a Joe Flacco out. When Flacco comes in as a backup, he's good, but when he's lifted as the starter,
Yeah. Yeah.
I wonder what kind of leash he's
We'll
going to
see.
season. I'm sure Dylan Gabriel and Shooter Sanders are itching to try to make that starting position. I think that's an interesting story in Cleveland. Have you looked at the Christmas lineup and have you looked at Thanksgiving lineup?
Not yet. Not yet. And you know why? Because I like to go through it as I go through the show, but I'm also undefeated Thanksgiving weekend for the last since 2018. And that's all on my show. That's all. I mean, I don't want to like brag about it, and you can ask the guys, and I don't like bragging about what I bet because I'm kind of like very secretive about it sometimes, but Thanksgiving is the weekend. Like, trust me. It's crazy.
I love the confidence, Katie. That is the other stuff. And then can you tell our listeners and viewers where they can find you, where they can
Yes. So X is at the Sports Betting Queen, Instagram at the Sports Betting Queen, at K Deuces, and then www.thesportsbettingqueen.com.
Oh my God! Check out Kate. Check out the Space Painting. Check out her wonderful show she's contacted.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
Stadium swim. Are we going?
Yeah, I'll be there. If you guys can make it, your group, that'd be wonderful.
Yes.
We'll buy you a drink.
Maybe I'll buy you a drink with some girls, or no, maybe not.
Well, I'm a married man, but you can definitely touch them.
I'll buy your friend some.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Well, we have a dinner
Permission.
right now. That was a sports betting queen. Make sure you follow her. She's fantastic. But get on the plane. Get
And
to
get to
Circa.
the center.
Get signed
Get
up
on
for
the
sports if you
if
haven't
you haven't
already.
already.
Drive in if you have to do it. It's the funnest time of year. It is the funnest contest. We'll be right back with Mike Fall. Absolutely.
All right. Well, we are waiting on Mr. Palm coming in. I'm very excited to talk to Sean too a little bit more about these sports betting and obviously the contest. Sean, why don't you tell us what contest you're going in?
So I am doing a Survivor, like I usually do, and then I've got a buddy going in with me, or excuse me, I'm doing a Millions like I usually do, and then I got a buddy going in with me on a Survivor and a Million. So 3 total. Put $3,000 up at the window yesterday, which was fantastic. So we're just texting Kiev's mic real quick here as we're going along, and Wes, our other technical guys, giving us thumbs up now. Better, all right. But I'm doing those 3 contests. I'd love to do more, but bankroll allows so much, and I just got to trust in what I'm doing. My best one in one of these, I hit 58% and wasn't quite good enough to get in the cash. I've had a couple years where we were under 50%, just trying to chase stuff at the end. So, hopefully we can do better. I'd love to be able to put my name up there and have a cash at Circa. That's the goal here, is to get one in that top 100 and hopefully win the whole thing.
No shame, Sean, because even the best of the best in Las Vegas, Chris, had that booby prize. He wasn't trying to win it. He hit a booby prize, and then he took like 3rd place in the contest later, which is absolutely insane. I think you got to look at it like, hey, there's going to be good weeks, there's going to be bad weeks, and there's no shame in having a rough contest year, but you can still have a good sports betting year by just playing the market and line value, Sean. You get on top of it immediately if there's something quick. You can also play both sides of 3 if you're lucky enough to get that. If the books are off, injury news comes in, something changes. Nothing moves a spread like a quarterback injury, does it, Sean?
Absolutely. We see that, up and down as things go along. The more information you get, making sure you're watching those line movements. Let's talk about week 1 real quick while we're waiting for Mike Kiev. Looking at the board up there, if you had to make one pick right now, week 1, obviously I've got a couple in, but what's your one pick up there on the board with the lines where they sit at this point?
Okay, well, I made some week 1 plays already. Chargers plus 3.5 looks pretty good to me. They're juiced at minus 115. Of course, I'm cheating by taking the juice, but I like that a little bit. I like the Texans I already had at 3, and it's 2.5 now, so not liking that as much. I did take the Cardinals at minus 5.5, but that's up to 6, so I like that less. I think the Jaguars should be able to cover against the Panthers, but I have that at 2, and that's at 3 too. So the lines move, but that's what betting's about. It's like getting ahead of a lot of these. I'm glad I have the line value I have, but when the market's stale, it's stale. Right now it'd be the Raiders and probably what I just said about the well, not the Jaguars, but the Chargers. Sean, what about you?
Yeah, my first one when I look at it right now is I'm in on the Raiders. I'm not as high on the Patriots as everybody is. Going along here, the week schedule is kind of going along a little bit for them and gotten them some love and put some publicity and some momentum. But I still think that team's got some work to do. So with the quarterback filling and changing the Raiders, I think they're going to be a much better team. I think I'm going to take that 3 on the road, and I think they got a good chance to win that game outright. And as we finish up that little conversation, our guest has arrived. So, Mike, if you're ready. All right. I'm going to bring him on over here.
That is fantastic. Thank you, Sean. Yeah, the Chargers plus 3.5. That could be also a money line play for me. I know the Chiefs are probably going to, come up firing after the embarrassing Super Bowl appearance. So, I would assume, you're going to get that type of emotion from them. But this is also a Jim Harbaugh coach team that is, a little bit decimated with injuries, but they rely on running the ball and playing tough defense and just the way that they win games. So right now, if I had to make a play, it'd definitely be the Chargers plus 3.5. Mike Palm is back. Mike, great to see you, my man. Flying all over the country. Just in Kentucky.
Yeah, 36 hours ago. That was a quick in and out. Flew into Nashville, had dinner Tuesday night in Nashville, drove up to Franklin, Kentucky. Wednesday morning, we cut the ribbon, the official grand opening of our book at the Mint at Kentucky Down. A whole county turned out. We had the Chamber of Commerce was there, the mayor, some judge. They had 4 of the members of the Kentucky Horse Racing and Gaming Commission, and probably 200 people showed up for the grand opening. They're so thrilled with that investment. in that area and what it's doing for the tourism, and bringing the people from Nashville up to Kentucky, and so it's exciting. It looks exactly like the book downstairs, just 2/3 the size. I was really impressed at how the project turned out.
It looks beautiful, and I love the patio. I saw you guys walk on the patio. That's going to be I mean, it's huge.
The race season is only 7 days, but the purses are out of this world because of the slot revenue. The average purse there last year was 400,000, and they had 12 races of $1 million or more. They race right around Labor Day. The problem is football's starting, but I got to figure out. how to. NBC's covering their first Saturday, I think. I got to figure out how to get down there for a couple of race dates, because it's a very unique turf course, and we're so excited to be in that region.
Are you guys covering the sports and the horse racing, or the sports itself?
So we book the sports, and then they book the horses. They have their own simulcast. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I thought so. That is fantastic. Well, I got to ask you, man, how the hell did you pull off Missouri? I mean, when I saw that happening, I felt so proud to be affiliated with Circa Sports, and just for you guys in itself, like, so excited that such a big feat was taken down like that. And watching you guys have that success was really inspiring.
It was a huge upset. I made it 40-1. I thought we were 40-1, and they're 40-1, and it's a 3-horse field to get 2 spots, right? I think the longest Quinella came in. I mean, FanDuel is number 1. But they went with DraftKings and us, and Derek's argument, which was a good one and resonated with the Missouri Gaming Commission, was we attract a different customer that we're going to take from offshore, right? We're going to take from the bookies, because that's our model, is much more like that than what the FanDuel or DraftKings model is. They're basically running the same model, and they're fishing from the same pool, and they bought it. And they said it was really impressive, the fact that, 95% of our handle comes from bets that are $50 or more. And so, geez, we were thrilled to get it. It's a competitive advantage to have the untethered license, because those partnership agreements run into 7 figures annually. So for us, it was great news. It's great that we were even competing. I thought it was great marketing that Derek's there presenting against the 2 giants. Everything was a win-win. And December 1st, we're live in Missouri.
If I could have only been in that negotiating room and watched that would have been some fun.
Wish, right? Wouldn't that discussion amongst the 4 commissioners been interesting?
That would have been an amazing tweet right there. Mike Palm, the VP of Operations at the D at Circa Sports in the Golden Gate, is joining us today at Mike Palm Circa. So do you see Circa Sports continuing to expand into other states?
Yeah, I think we'll be in Arizona next year.
Finally.
We're working with one of the tribes there, and so I think that's going to happen. I don't want to give away too much, but I'm would be shocked if we're not in Arizona in 2026. And of course, we always work on Michigan, because that's Derek's home state. And so those would be the next 2 frontiers for Circa Sports.
Well, when you get to Arizona, make sure you let me know. I'll take you to dinner. I would love another app down in Arizona, another out like Circa Sports. That would be absolutely wonderful. Man, you just made me excited. That is
I can see in your face how happy you are.
I live in Chandler. It's perfect. All right. Well, I got to give you some bad news, though, Mike.
Uh-oh.
You guys left some money on the table last year. You guys did. I offered you a prop. I offered you a prop. Any Power 5 team to go undefeated. We would have been You guys couldn't get them, and you lost the one on the table, because we, even at -150, no.
Yeah. I think we could might have like -180, and we would have got a lot of action on the no, right? It's very, very interesting, college football, but people are passionate about it, and it's difficult. There's all these ups and downs, and now you have these super conferences, right? And you can't just, there's not just 8 teams and 4 of them are bad anymore. You got to get through 6 or 7 decent teams in conference play. So. We blew that one. We did.
There's time to do it again, Mike. There's time to do it again. I'm just saying. Well, Chris Felica and Brad Powers on last week, and Chris has one that he wants me to bring up to you as well. And I'm just going to throw it out there. Will there be a preseason AP poll top 10 team that will not finish ranked, and in the top 25 ranked at all by the end of college football season? I think that's an interesting one, because all the time you see like a Texas A&M being ranked in the top 10 or something like that. So I think that's an interesting way of looking at it. You can have the actual yes, no, or you can actually put odds on which team, like LSU or like Miami or somebody like that, to not be there. So I think that's an interesting one to run by the table.
Look how much Florida State regressed off of 13 wins, right? Last year it was unbelievable. I think Illinois is that team, but they didn't quite make the top 10. I think Illinois is that team that had all the variance luck last year. They won all the one-score games. They got all the fourth quarter turnovers margin, right? I think they could be the team that takes a big step. That's a good one too, right? I was thinking of a prop about it. Will a team win the World Series that has never won the World Series before? Hanging that here in the next couple of weeks. It's an interesting list, including the Brewers. I just try to think of things that will spark action, right? That's our name. We want to write bets. So come up with things that,
That I hope you do. I would still rerun the Poly 5 one. I think it's going to be another interesting one. Let me know. And if you guys do, I'm going to throw that thing everywhere. I'm going to tell everybody about it. It would be a wonderful prop. And I think either idea is great. But that's what we like to do. We like to think of putting odds on stuff, right? That's what you do as a sports bettor. That's what you do, VP of operations at the greatest sports book in the country. Let's talk a little bit about Survivor. What the hell is Thanksgiving and Christmas?
They're tightly aligned, and there's overlap of teams too, so that makes it challenging. And I think for anybody that's new to Survivor, you have to start there. You have to map out your plan, and I think you have to have at least 3 teams available on each of those. I realize people, you're overstating it. 2 teams is enough. We don't know. We can think we know the teams. We're going to know much better when we get to that point. You want to give yourselves as many options as possible. But we kind of need to make it a little harder as we keep growing the contest 30, 40% every year. I mean, man, we're up right now. Same day last year, we're up 42% in signups. If you extrapolate it out, it's right at 20 million if we keep this pace going. So
I predicted 18 million, but hey, 20 sounds better to me. I'm hoping that there's a solo winner this year, and I hope it's me, of course. But it would be nice to see something like that. I mean, you got down to 8 or 9. We still haven't had a solo winner this year, but that's just life-changing money right there. I'm one of these guys, being the sports bettor myself. Dude, with the amount of people coming in, has there been any thoughts to add a game, like make it 6 or 7? Because now you're starting to get into the point where there's going to be a lot of pushes.
We considered 7, but we stuck with 5. But it's on the table. It's one of the things that was discussed, and we do the meeting right after March Madness when we have to tell, hey, Jeff Benson, drop all these rules, and we go through all the eventualities. But it was on the table this year as a discussion point.
Oh, there you go. I could see that happening soon with the amount of growth this contest has. And I prefer more, actually, myself, because I think that gives me a little bit more of an advantage, I would assume, hopefully, if I'm good enough. And that sounds really exciting. What was your decision to not pass the extra 50-cent tax on the god-awful state of Illinois to your consumers?
My speech in Kentucky was about don't make the mistake of your neighbors to the north. We wouldn't make this kind of investment. And maybe we don't build a big book in Illinois now. It's an impossible business environment. You can't move the goalpost every year. How about, and it's even worse for the big guys. How about if you're DraftKings or FanDuel or MGM or Caesars? Okay, come to our state. We have a 15% rate. Not the best, but it's reasonable. Oh, no, it's 40 now for them. Oh, and by the way, next year, we're going to put a 50-cent tax on every bet you take. A fee. We knew we were never going to take a fee. But in order not to move our splits, not to worsen our splits, we had to raise the minimum bet. The big debate for us was it going to be 10 or 20. We actually filmed 2 commercials, one with 10 and one with 20. We ended up landing on, it's not as aggressive, but we ended up landing on 10. But can you imagine this thing about this? We have a 2% hold, right? A guy bets $5, right? We're making 4 cents on that bet, right? But wait, I got to pay a 25% tax. That's before any operating expenses. It's almost, even if you're 10% hold, you're upside down with the tax with your operating. And so it's going to be like California where they drive all the businesses out.
These politicians, man, it's a very, very passionate subject. Yes, ask Mike about, and I feel you, man. And I want to do more to, try to instruct these guys. As a sports player, I dream of going down to -105 on both sides. As a sports player. But how is that supposed to happen when they're taking money from you, stealing money from you? Is the way I look at it. But it's upsetting to me. But I'm glad you answered that question because I can see you guys are very passionate about it, and it's a very important thing because you want to keep the consumers happy and have them a chance to win. win. They just look at it as some lottery system where they have scratch offs that are 70-30, right? It's just
Well, they think
absolutely
they think the
ridiculous.
sports books have this huge advantage. They just print money. It doesn't matter. We can tax it. It's a sin tax. All they're doing is driving the money offshore, and they're counterproductive to their tax revenue.
You can bet on crypto.com, dude. Yeah, there is all kinds
I
of
know.
places people
I
can
know.
go to. It is absolutely insane that they're doing that, but I'm really glad I was able to bring this up. But more importantly, Mike, what's your week 1 survivor play this year?
So, I think you have to have multiple entries. I say 6, but Denver will be the biggest play. Denver,
I think so too.
because let's not forget, everybody's, well, what about Eagles? What about Commanders? What about Cardinals? People don't like to play road teams. They don't like to play division games. So Denver will clearly be the choice. I'm looking really hard right now, if I were in this, at the Indianapolis Colts against the Dolphins in week 1. I'm not committing to it, but I'm monitoring the situation, and I think that's probably where I would go. I'm not going to be on the game that's got 50% of the people on it. That's not how you win. I mean, if you just follow well, that's the right choice. People want to people argue that, well, they used the number 4 draft pick. Well, they got it wrong. That doesn't mean you have to stick with the guy. The guy tapped out. The guy lost the locker room. And I firmly believe they told Daniel Jones he would be the starter. Why else would he leave that situation in Minnesota? You got the great coach O'Connell and a Maserati of an offense. What if McCarthy wasn't healthy? What if he sucked? You could have taken over that thing there. I think they told him you're the starter in Indianapolis, and that's how they got him to go there.
I agree. That makes sense. They known it the whole time.
You could have got that at plus 180 last week offshore that he would be the starter. I kept telling people this should be minus $3.
It makes so much sense now that you're saying that. My God, I wish I was thinking more about that. But you know what? That's how it is. You're right. Why would you leave where you can actually play and be a starter, because you don't know what's going to happen to McCarthy? You know, he's still a rookie because he hurt himself. Oh my, and a great coach. And oh man, makes all the sense in the world. You know, so I think my best play would be Arizona. And I know there's going to be probably a decent amount of people on it, but how you have to save teams, and Arizona's a team I think you want to use early, and the Saints are just so god awful. But I'm actually taking my son to the Carolina-Arizona game the week after. What if I pick Denver and then I have to go take my son to the game and sweat out $1,000 Circa entry, my friend?
You won't enjoy it as much unless they get out to a 3-touchdown lead. I'm going to tell you this: I bet Jonathan Gannon for Coach of the Year at 22-1, because the sharp money here is on Arizona to win the NFC West. And I said it's from 650 to like 360 plus 365. Hell, if they win the West, he's got a great chance for Coach of the Year. They were good at the end of the year last year. Why not take 22-1 for Coach of the Year as opposed to 4-1 to win the West?
Why would you not? I totally agree. I think that's just a much better value, and I think he's going to get Coach of the Year. Did you know that Arizona, and I do this every year, I do a Pythagorean win total. I have an article about it. They had the best Pythag in the West. They were they had the highest expected wins from last season, even adjusting for turnovers, than any team. And look at the Niners. They don't even have a long receiver right now. I think this is a case where you're on to something. I don't think Stafford lasts the whole season. I'm totally with you on that, Mike. Well, hey, man, this Circa's trending. I see 2,712 right now. Is that ahead of what we were?
1% behind. It's going to be right at the 6 million again, like it's been the last 2 years. I said between 5,900 and 6,100. I'd be very surprised if it's not. So we'll be right at the number again. Hopefully 20 million in Survivor, and I think this Grandisio might even get to 40.
Colts, week 1, Mr. Mike Palm, you heard it here first. Grandissimo will be performed. I'm blown away. This is Dan Stevenson.
Yeah. Maybe 2-1, yeah.
Mike, where can our listeners and viewers get your wonderful information media?
You can follow me at Mike Palm Circa. I have a regular schedule on VSiN every week. I'm on at 2:30 Pacific with Mitch and Paul on Wednesdays. I'm on at 5:30 a.m. Pacific with Jensen Lewis and Dave Ross on VSiN by the Books on Thursdays, and with Stormy and JVT at 10:15 on Friday mornings.
Make sure you guys check out my pump. Get down to the circuit. Get in these wonderful contests. Mike, best of luck to you this year.
It's a pleasure, my friend.
Always a pleasure. We'll be seeing you on the weekend, my friend. All right. That was Mike Palm, and we're going to take a quick break, but we're going to be back with more Circa information and fun here from Las Vegas.
All right. We are back with the final segment. One, we got Sean Green from Sports Gambling Podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I snagged Ryan as he was walking by.
Oh, great.
We had a great discussion with you guys about what I think super bets.
That's our brand.
More fun bets and things that you might see some value on the smaller markets that a lot of people are in, and a chance to make some big cash. So last year, when we were talking to you guys, you were going downstairs today. Cash on Will Levis, most passing yards in the league.
So that didn't work out. I would say now someone call it dumb. I would just call it an opportunity. An opportunity bet this year for me is Tank Bigsby, most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. He had 7 rushing touchdowns last year on 168 carries. I think there's a chance he gets the lead workload and the goal line stuff for this Jags team. If the Jags offense is a little better with Liam Cohen, which I think there could be, could he get to 12, 14 rushing touchdowns? I think he's got a shot. He also he hit a 2-touchdown bet for me last year, so I'm going to ride the hot hand. And his name's Tank. How could you not want to bet on a guy named Tank?
Can't go wrong with a guy named Tank. I like the theory.
Yes.
I like the theory. We were talking a little bit about one of the new ones that's up there. Looking up for Tech of the Year. Have you attacked or looked at that at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm an Eagles fan, so I do think, and if you look at who's voting for these things, it's a lot of like former offensive linemen. So I think they're going to go out of their way to award. I think Lane Johnson. If you're looking for a chalky one, I think Lane Johnson. He's one of the shorter odds, but I think he has a really good chance of getting it. My co-host Kramer, he gave out Joe Alt a while back, and with Rashawn Slater getting injured and then him moving to left tackle, I think that's a decent one as well. A little bit of a longer shot there on Joe Alt still, but the fact that he's moving from right to left tackle, I think they'll give him some credit for that. So that's a fun long shot as well. I think it's still a good price.
Looking at week 1 for things that you can just have some fun with, with matchups maybe. If you had to just go blind and go, okay, I'm looking at these matchups and I want to pick somebody who's it's most rushing yards week 1, most receiving yards week 1, maybe something along those lines. Putting you on the spot here since we didn't talk.
No,
about
it's fine.
What do you think about some of those matchups that you might like to look at for week 1? You got the board up there if you need to peek.
I'll tell you the one I like, and I also like him in the futures market, is Ricky Pearsall. I think he could have a very big week 1, very big week season. So sometimes they do have those markets of like most receiving yards, like you were saying, for the week. Ricky Pearsall, I think, is going to be decent odds. And you saw the chemistry he had with Brock Purdy there. They're incredibly, incredibly banged up at receiver. We'll see if Jawan Jennings ends up playing week 1. Ayuk, it's going to be who knows when he's back. He's only really competing with Kittle in my mind. They drafted him in the first round last year, and that preseason game, they were locked in on each other, Purdy and Pearsall. So I think that's a good combo. And he's one of my favorites. And I like him to you can take the division markets. Like he has most receiving yards in the NFC West at 15-1. Obviously you're competing with Puka there, but if Stafford has any issues with his back, I just think Pearsall is going to have a massive year. So, and it starts with week 1 against Seattle.
Yeah, and like you said, with Ayuk not knowing when he's going to be back, he's going to be that number 1 target for at least probably the first quarter of the season, if not longer. So I think you could see something there. I like that. That's a good angle to look at. What about rushing yards? You mentioned Tank for touchdowns. Anybody you think might be a little further down the board there that you could sneak in for rushing yards?
Yeah, I mean, it's chalky, but I think Saquon's going to have a huge game against the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know what the Cowboys are doing on the defensive side. We'll see if they end up signing Micah Parsons back, but the Eagles' offensive line is going to be able to push around the Cowboys week 1. Again, chalky, but Saquon is going to have a massive week 1 there on the ground. Another guy I like, and you could maybe play him on some of the long shot stuff to lead the division. I think he's also maybe in the mix for most touchdowns. I think now maybe not as much week 1 because maybe they ease him in a little bit, but man, that Steelers team really wants to pound the rock with Arthur Smith in that offense. And I think Caleb Johnson really could be that guy. they had like Jalen, I just from what you're seeing in the preseason, I like the way Caleb Johnson was running the ball. I think their offensive line is good enough. Now they are playing a tough defense week 1, but I do like Caleb Johnson. I think he's kind of undervalued. He's good, like late round fantasy guy as well. So Caleb Johnson's probably someone I'm going to be playing in some of those, like most division rushing yards, that kind of stuff. I could see week 1, although it is a tougher matchup against the Jets defense.
Yeah, Jets front four is looking pretty good, healthy. So, but I like the angle. They're not going to be throwing the ball right away with Aaron Rodgers. They're going to take some time with chemistry. He hasn't played in the preseason, which I don't understand at all. I don't care who he is or how long he's played. He's got no chemistry with Metcalf yet. It's going to take some time. So you're right. They're going to have to pound the rock, and that could be a good way to look at it week 1 for sure. Let me know where we can find your stuff. I think a lot of people know, but really would love to know what you guys do.
Just type in Sports Gambling Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. We also have an app, SGPN. It's free in the App Store. And just type in Sports Gambling Podcast. Literally on any search thing, we'll be there.
Appreciate the quick jump.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for stopping by. All right. Sean Green, Sports Gambling Podcast. Great dude. Really enjoyed stuff. Right over there. Really good stuff. If you haven't made a listen to him, you should. I've got a couple minutes here by myself. I'm going to slide over to the other screen here real quick so I can get this set up for you. Just give me 1 second. All right. Getting ready to close her up here. Brought on David Zellner, D Nasty. You still got Sean Green up there on the name, but we're closing her down. Technical difficulties abound with both the microphone here and the video. But hey, we're in Vegas. We're going to talk a little football. I'm going to just give you a couple quick questions here, some things you might think of. We're looking at division odds and division winners. Just want to look at the NFC East for you real quick. I'm high on the Cowboys. You look at the NFC East and the history of not having the same champion repeat. I think the Cowboys have a shot. New head coach. The defense was the problem, right? If Parsons comes back in, they gave up 468 points last year. That's not going to happen again. I think they got a chance. What do you think about the NFC East?
Yeah, I like the Commanders actually too. Jaden Daniels is being his second year now. He did really well as a rookie. They added some pieces to that team as well. They brought in Deebo Samuel. The whole McLaren holdout, if they get that cleared up, I think they really have a nice receiving core there. I do agree with you on the Cowboys. I like the Cowboys too with the new Schottenheimer as the new coach. They had a lot of injuries on defense last year. I think that played a key part in them giving up a lot of yards and a lot of points last year as well. They have some of their players back. Micah's still going to be a huge piece of that puzzle, though, so they definitely need to sign him. The whole Jerry Jones saga every year with all his holdouts, that's getting old, but he needs to get them into camp sooner so they're ready to go for week 1. And then you can't discount the Eagles either as well. They're always going to be up there near the top. So I think it's going to be Eagles, and I like the Commanders a little bit over the Cowboys, actually. Their defense, they added some pieces, too, and they have some nice young players on defense, too, for the Commanders. So that's going to be definitely a tough division to call there.
Yeah, I'm not as high on the Commanders this year. You look at second year quarterback hangovers do tend to come into play. I'm on the over wins for both the Giants at 5.5 and the Cowboys at 7.5. I got that early in a good market, so I'm fading the Commanders, but it's okay to have a difference of opinion there. A couple other bets we put in yesterday, or I did, I want to talk to you about. Give me a view. Is anybody besides Tampa going to make any noise in the NFC South?
That's a tough division. The only team I really like there, other than Tampa, I agree with you. Tampa's definitely the team in that division. Atlanta, though, I like Atlanta. Penix, if he has a solid year and he can be a solid quarterback for them, they could really have a nice offense there. You saw when Kirk Cousins was playing well last year that they were clicking on all cylinders. They were playing up a lot of points. So and they added a few young guys on defense too, and I think they added a safety as well too. So their defense could be much improved. It's still not going to be great. It's not going to be one of the top defenses, but their defense is going to be much improved. They added some pieces in the draft as well. So I think that's the one team that I like in that division, just because of their offensive firepower they have there with London, and then Penix, and then the Brian Robinson, or Bijan Robinson as well.
Yeah, Bijan can make the play at it. That division actually gets the AFC East as their crossover games, so there's certainly some opportunity. I think the AFC East is going to be a worse division than the NFC South at the end of the year. A lot of people are high on the Patriots. I am not. Jets, same thing. Justin Fields, sure, it's his chance to finally prove it again, but he didn't win the starting job last year. He's not that good of a quarterback. I'm sorry. So I think there's a chance that some of those teams pull off some wins against the AFC East. And where I'm going with this is Coach of the Year play. I put Todd Bowles in plus 6,000. That's crazy. It's 60-1 for a guy that should win his division. The over/under number is 9.5. What if they rattle off 13 wins? All right. Start off Atlanta, Houston, the Jets, and they got Philly. They could be 3-1 right there, maybe 2-2. They get beat by Houston. Follow that up with the rest of the hard part of their schedule. They host San Fran at Detroit. They're at Seattle week 5. And then the schedule outside of Buffalo gets really, really easy. They could go 8-1 down the stretch. Listen to this. Host New England after the bye, at Buffalo, at the Rams, could be a tough game. Host Arizona, host the Saints, host the Falcons, at the Panthers, at the Dolphins, host the Panthers. They go 8-1 down that stretch and 4-3 or 4-4 at the start. I could see 13 wins, and he could be the coach of the year at that kind of odds. So I think that's a good long shot play. We were just talking to Sean Green about those. Anybody else that you think is a coach, not one of the top teams, that are up there, but anybody other teams you think could sneak in, have a really good year?
Well, like we just were saying, the Cowboys actually with Brian Schottenheimer there. He's a proven coach. He's got the blood family. He's got the pedigree. Yes, he's got the family pedigree actually. So he's definitely a coach that you want to keep an eye on. The Cowboys are going to be much improved. Their offense is going to be good. They added Pickens on offense, so that offense is going to be a lot better if Dak can stay healthy there. I like the Cowboys actually. That's one team that I think that could be much improved this year as well.
Okay, I'm going to switch over to your forte now. Fantasy football. You're not picking in one round 2, 3. Not talking about the sleepers in round 10 or 12. I'm talking about those mid-level guys, 4, 5, 6, the guys that are rounding out your starting roster, those receivers and running backs. Who you like in those rounds 5, 6, that range that you think could have good years?
There's a couple guys I do like actually. There's the Ricky Pearsall. He's actually with the 49ers. We were just talking about that on the previous podcast. I like him actually. There's some other guy. I like. There's a Brian Thomas Jr., but you're taking him in the first round, though. But he's a guy I really like this year, too. Rashee Rice, actually, a lot of people forgot about him. If he doesn't get suspended, he was a monster at the beginning of the year last year for the Chiefs. He was having a great year until he got hurt. But you got to keep an eye on that suspension. You don't know if he's going to get He's a nice sleeper at wide receiver. Some running backs I like a lot of the rookies, actually. I like the R.J. Harvey, the Maria Hamptons. You can get them later in drafts. You can get them in like the 6th, 7th round probably. A lot of the rookie running backs could play a key part for their teams this year, so they're going to get a lot of carries as well. Even though R.J. Harvey is splitting carries with Dobbins, he's still going to get the carries there. I think by mid-year he could be the starter. You got the Tank Bigsby for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He could be a nice running back. Whoever wins that job actually and gets share of the carries for Jacksonville, I think that could be a nice sleeper. Don't sleep on Travis Etienne then for them as well. He was a fantasy stud a couple years ago. He kind of fell off and he had a bad year last year, but he could be a guy that comes back as well.
All right. Same kind of question. Quarterbacks. Not the top 12 guys that you're drafting, right? Not the guys that are the starters for every team. Who's that next level, that backup quarterback that you want on your roster in case your starter gets hurt that you want to have?
Well, I know you're not behind the Patriots, but I do like Drake May. They added Stephon Diggs. He's going to really help him, I think. Everywhere Stephon Diggs has went, he's actually helped his quarterback. When he was at Buffalo, he helped Josh Allen. When he went to the Texans, he helped C.J. Stroud have a good year. So now he's going there. They said they have nice chemistry with him in the preseason. So I do like Drake May actually there. So I think he could have a good year. And actually, this is kind of a homer pick. I'm a Packer fan, but I like Jordan Love. They added some offensive weapons through the draft. If their receivers can stay healthy, Josh Jacobs is still going to be a key back, and he's going to take a lot of pressure off Love. He did have that finger surgery in the preseason, but they say he's going to be ready to roll for week 1. I think if he stays healthy, he could be a nice sleeper as well.
Okay, fantastic. Who do you want in the second round, depending on where you're picking, front end, back end? Who's your favorite guys to target there? Obviously, it depends your first round pick, but what do you like in the second round when you're coming back around from the front of the side of the round and the back of the side?
I'm going to go running back, actually. That's what I normally do. It depends on if it's a PPR league, though, too. So if it's PPR league, you're going to draft a wide receiver probably. So that's where you probably get like a Brian Thomas Jr. there. You can get maybe you can get like a Alshon Genty that too. You can get him there probably at running back. So one of those guys I'm probably targeting around something like that actually on the way back like that. And then quarterback, I'm usually going to wait on unless one of the top guys is there. If like a Lamar or Josh Allen is there, you maybe look at one of them as well even.
Okay, fantastic. We're wrapping it up here, folks. Got a little fantasy to close it out. A couple of long shot bets. Some good stuff here at the Odds Breakers. Just want to end it up. We still got a month and a half left of baseball season. I'm on an incredible baseball run, up 38 units since June 15th, and continuing to roll along. So if you're still looking to get some baseball bets in, feel free to check out the packages on the website there. And if you're looking for football, obviously we're coming into that season. So hit up me, Kiev. You can look for fantasy information here from David as well. So thank you all for tuning in the last 2 days with these 4 podcasts. I hope you got some good listening, and we will catch you once football season starts. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sean. I messed up a little bit on that.